staff. Time is 6:16 p.m., the 8th day of February 2022. I call this meeting of the Instructional Committee of the United Independent School Board of Trustees to order. The following board members are present.
Lisa Oliveros.
Javier Montemayor. That this meeting, let the record show that this meeting has been duly called, that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Agenda item number 1, any public comments?
At this time, Mr. Montemayor, we have no public comments.
And I guess the only agenda item that we have is the December STAR and the course results.
Yes, sir.
Is that one in the interlocal agreement?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
We'll go ahead and start with the STAR results. Good evening, Mr. Montemayor, Ms. Lopez Oliveros, Mr. Gonzalez, and members of the audience. We bring to you the STAR December EOC course results. And we have a comparison with the state and with the region. Now, it's important to say that we're looking at only first-time tester results, and the reason that we're looking at that is because we run a block schedule, and not every district in the state or the region runs a block schedule. So as we look at the information that we have here, we'll look at the end of course for English. We tested a total of 1,287 students, and our score showed 76% at the approaches, 54% at the meets, and 8% at the masters. You'll notice here the region and the state are below the district. When we look at English 2, we have 81% at approaches, 63% at meets, and 11% at masters. And again, outperforming the region and outperforming the state, measuring first-time testers throughout. When we look at algebra, in our algebra scores, we did test a smaller group because we know that that's the area that we needed to spend more time instruction-wise. So you'll see a larger testing group at the end of this year. We tested 627 students, and our results are 87% approaches, 70% meets, and 44% masters. And again, significantly above the state at the master's level. Looking at our biology, we tested 1,589 students with 91% at the approaches, 68% at the meets, and 27% at the masters. Again, our masters significantly above the state and the region. And finally, we have our U.S. history. This is where we tested more students, 1,802. We did have an increase of 117 from the previous year. We're 92% meets, approaches, 68 meets, and 28% masters. And we focus on approaches, meets, and masters because that's the score that our state uses to whenever we get a student achievement ratings. So we also wanted to share with you, and this is important to note that this is not for accountability because we're not removing the students from the snapshot, we're not matching students, we're just giving you the data for all of the students that tested. And when we look at our percentages overall at the district level, at the approaches, meets, and masters for all of these EOC assessments, we end up with a raw score of 59. And just, you know, we met with principals today, just a reminder, our goals are 90, 60, 30, because those are the scores that get us to the A. So when we look at the raw score of a 59, just looking at EOC scores, we would have come in at a rating for a B only on student achievement. It's important to note that at the high school, we also include CCMR and we also include graduation rates. But just looking at the instruction, again, our instruction is solid. Our teachers are doing a phenomenal job. Our students are doing a phenomenal job. And, you know, it shows when we compare to the region and to the state where they would fall given the information that we have. I don't know if you have any questions. We also have the breakdown by campus. And you'll notice here that there were increases in some areas. In one area, English 2, we stayed the same at United High School. And there were some decreases, but we also need to note that they tested more students this time around in December because we had them face-to-face. I don't know if you have any questions.
So if we were above regional and state across the board, and then we come out with a B, is that saying that pretty much the whole state's going to come out like that?
Well, and I will tell you that when we look at achievement, and this is strictly achievement, how many, what percent at approaches, what percent at meets, and what percent at masters on STAR. we anticipate that we will not be where we were in 2019. So what we're focusing on is growth, and that's what we're going to be putting together. For growth, it's a little bit different because we've got to match the students that tested last year with the ones that test this year, because that's how we can measure growth. But all of our campuses, we've had multiple trainings already on the accountability system that we have this year, and also on looking for growth. It's our theme this year, making sure that our students are growing and we're adding value to what they had or what they brought in last year.
So is there a way to break it down between those students who were face-to-face and scored as those students who were virtually?
Well, last year, 97% of our students were virtual. So pretty much, we can run that breakdown, but pretty much the data that you see, I don't anticipate any changes in the percentages from last year versus this year as far as checking or differentiating those that were face-to-face last year and those that were virtual, because we had so many virtual.
I'm just trying to see if there's a way we can ramp up our virtual program. For example, in 2020 at Alexander High School, you look at your English 1, you went from a 94 to a 73 on the approaches, and 87 to a 48 on the meets, and a 27 to a 2 on English 1. And Alexander, 2020 was our big virtual year, and so 2021 was more face-to-face, and so the numbers.
I do have to say that it also depends on the scheduling and how they schedule the students this year. So Alexander was one of the campuses that said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and test everyone. Prior to that, they would. So let me put it this way: in order to prepare the students to do well on their graduation requirement at the high school, if students are struggling and we're bringing them in from the 8th grade to the 9th grade, then we can schedule them where their first semester they have a course that prepares them, but it's not an end of course. And then the spring semester, it's the end of course, but we've given them a full year of instruction because we know that that's what their intervention calls for. So this year, they just scheduled as many as they could so that we could look at the 30 hours that are required. And so the scheduling would have been different this year. So in reality, Mr. Montemayor, it'll be until we look at the full summative data that we have for the whole year.
21, 22, and 2021.
Yes.
It looks, United South did really well.
Yes.
They went up.
And again, it just depended on the scheduling that the campuses decided to go, whether they stacked classes vertical or they stacked them horizontal, which means they'll have that support all year, or they had 2 classes of support, or they just have 1 EOC course. And again, this is has been an unusual year. I will also say that last year we only had overall 89% of our students come and test, when normally we have 100% testing, with just very few students not meeting that
Could be a
requirement.
scheduling problem.
Yeah, so right now it's too soon for me to say, and that's why it was important for us to look at how did we do compared to the region and how did we do compared to the state.
And I think that's important because for obvious reasons, very obvious reasons, we're probably going to go from an A to a B. That's what we're being told.
It could happen, it just depends. If we meet that growth
Hopefully not.
threshold.
Yeah, hopefully not, but if it does, I'm trying to compare us to regional and state because we look great right there, but then when you balance it out or whatever formula you use, it looks like we're not doing so great. But in comparison with the state, are we?
On average year, ma'am, and these are not the scores we're used to as a district. Obviously, we do very well academically. It's not the average year, and I can tell you, we just came from Midwinter Conference. I spoke to a lot of superintendents, specifically Region 1. There's a lot of concern with data right now, and as far as accountability.
So
A lot of questions have been asked, but, I mean, again, this is not what we would see in a normal United ISD. It is what's coming out right now, mid-year for the course. But obviously, we're happy in the fact that at least we're in a position where we're still ahead of the state of the region. With that, we're used to. But we can do better, yes.
I've kind of chalked it up the same way. 2020 in 2021 are going to be very difficult to be successful, as successful as we've been in the past.
Right.
You know, and I do the same thing. I compare us to what we're looking at as far as the state and the region. Are we meeting them? Are we ahead of them? And if we are, then there's something to be said for our program, for our teachers and our staff, and we're doing something right, because not everybody is scoring as well as we are, given the circumstances of COVID and the absences and the weather and more the COVID situation. I think has been the biggest barrier that we've had to continue our success that we had in the past. And so I look at some of the scores you have in 2021 and compare to 20. There's some good scores. So I'm trying to figure out what is it? What's the difference between, let's say, South and Alexander? You say it's a scheduling issue.
It is.
Okay. And that's.
So we can fix that.
Well, and it's not that it's something that we need to fix. It's that, for example, they want to give the students, in some cases, looking at the students individualized, they want to give them more opportunities to test because they know what they're coming with. You know, how they scored in 8th grade, we know it was all virtual. And a lot of these scores are at the freshman campus, at the 9th grade campuses, because we've got English 1, Bio, and Algebra at the 9th grade campuses. So they're looking at very differentiated ways of scheduling based on how they're receiving the students. That I will tell you, our administrative staff, very data savvy. They look at more than one piece of data to plan. And again, they've looked at planning and scheduling students in different ways, either to give them more of an opportunity or because they know that they can meet their graduation requirement, and then, you know, we can focus on the students that have not. So we've got also that House Bill 4545 where we require the 30 hours for content area, so we're looking at that as well. But to answer your question, at the end of the year, when we bring you all of the data, we will be able to make more more statements based that the data supports with virtual versus.
So this 2020 year is the 1920 school year.
No, it's a 2021 school year, but it's December testing in 2020. So it's 2021. So this was 2021 was the year that we were 97% virtual.
Okay, and this 2021 is December testing 2021.
It's 21-22 school year, but it's testing in December 2021.
And this one is 1920, but testing in 20.
No,
or 2021.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, in high school, everything that we know about accountability in high school is a little different because we do a current accountability year where we actually start taking data in the summer. If any of our students test in the summer, we start to capture that data. But when we bring it to you overall at the end of the year, we'll be able to make more of the objective statements based on the data that we have.
More of a better comparison.
Yes. Yes.
All right, any questions?
No, good.
Thank you.
Okay, I think the next item is agenda item number 3, approval of interlocal agreement between Skid Laredo and United ISD for public health service.
Good evening, members of the board, members of the audience.
This is a renewal for interlocal agreement for public health services between the city. We bring it to you because there's been some changes in administration. At the administration level, it's the interim city manager, and we have a new health director as well. And this is really basically for services outside to provide health and environmental healthcare services to students outside of our city limits. Right, so we're looking at your Colonia students in those particular areas where it's about a $37,000 cost divided into the 12 months. So it's not anything new. I just speak to our service director, and they run TB assessments. They assist with the vaccine drives and so forth at the various campuses.
Yeah, and just for the record, Jaime Garcia, legal counsel, it has been reviewed by our office as well. We have no issues with it.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Really quickly, just for the record, I know there's a slight modification to the boundary changes, so if we can get Mrs. Anwar just to get that on the record.
Well, that's right.
We did review boundary changes with the business committee, and just for the record, we will be making some modifications to letter in this agenda. It is, I didn't note that one, letter D, E, and F. The Eastwood students that we were proposing to move to
Gonzalez, to Clark Middle, instead of Gonzalez Middle where they're currently at, will be staying due to distance. So that modification was made, and it has a trickle effect to the high school as well. Instead of going to Alexander, as recommended, it will be staying at United Front High School. So we'll be making those changes, those packets for the regular board meeting.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.